We're a global company in that we have products and installations around the world, and a big part of our global strategy from a technology provider perspective is how do we take our core technology and proliferate that throughout the world. The solar industry, has very ambitious goals in terms of cost reduction. So as a manufacturer and a provider of technology, what we look to do is, can we have a platform that can truly be global, that we can modify to meet the needs of specific markets? The more that we can do that, the more we can take advantage of the economies of scale from our supply chain and drive costs even further down. What we've started, which started at the end of last year, is on our central inverter line for utility scale. We have a platform which initially was developed in China and is deployed there, which involves a large enclosure with multiple inverter engines in there, and possibly the mating of a transformer as part of that. So this power block looks like a container you see on the back of a flatbed truck that coming out of the harbor, but that can go straight to a job site, can be craned into place. So logistically provides a lot of value. And then now we're selling that globally. For example, recently we're doing a deployment in the United Kingdom, and there's other parts of the world where we deployed this. But what we're doing with that now is, now we're looking at also the North American requirements, and how do we take that platform such that it's going to be effectively the same product that we ship to North America, that we would ship to Latin America, that we would ship to Europe or any other developing market, whether it be India is an area that we're investing heavily in, to where where there are some slight additions, subtractions, or tweaks, so to speak, to keep it in layman's terms, that we can have a truly global platform. So at 1,000 volt on central inverter line, those are products that exist, and others that are being released to the North American market later this year, and on 1,500 volts as well. There's specific benefits from an O&M standpoint, and from just an overall energy production and overall plant reliability standpoint over the long term. So we want to continue to enable that. We've started that with a 60 kilowatt class leading inverter at 1,000 volts, and we've had that out over a year. But of course, with the trend of 1,500 in utility, that's the reason why we're just continuing on that trend. I think certainly within the next 5 years, and it's interesting when you talk about 10 years in solar, I mean, I don't know whose crystal ball's better, but, we could certainly see that in the next 5 years, of course, with, the recent policy change in the US around the investment tax credit, the ITC, it will still continue to be a policy-driven market. And even globally, we see, markets boom and bust, and it's largely driven by policy. So there's policy, but then there's also cost. In other words, when incentives are all taken away, and one day there will most likely be, and even with the new extension of the ITC in the US, it does sunset out in the early 2020s. Can solar then stand on its own and be a competitive energy technology that holds its own against any other energy technology? Well, part of that is being able to drive the total cost down. From a technology provider, what we can enable, of course, is the acquisition cost of the equipment, and how that benefits the rest of the system in terms of overall lifetime cost. We're doing everything we can to contribute our part from an inverter, from a power electronics and energy conversion standpoint. We're doing everything we can. So we don't foresee that changing at all, and we're really kind of at the forefront of being able to enable that.